Welcome to Life Stories Network, where real emotions turn into unforgettable stories. Today I want to share a journey that tested me as a parent, as a human, and as someone who thought they had all the answers. It started with a quiet conversation with my son, one that carried more weight than I was prepared for. His private offer, said in a low and trembling voice, changed how I looked at him, at myself, and at the kind of family we were trying to be. He came to me late one evening, after the house had settled into its nighttime silence. The dishes were done, the television was off, and the world outside seemed asleep. He stood in the doorway of my room like a shadow, hesitant but determined. "Mom," he said, and that single word told me that something important was coming. His eyes were softer than usual, his voice carried an ache I couldn't ignore. I asked him to sit, though my heart was already beating faster. I could sense that whatever he wanted to say wasn't small. When he sat beside me, he kept his hands folded so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He looked at the floor first, then slowly up at me, and finally, he said words that felt like a puzzle. "I want to help you, but it has to stay between us." My breath caught, because secrecy between family feels like both a gift and a threat. I asked him what he meant, and his answer broke me in ways I didn't expect. He had noticed the bills piling up on the table. He had heard the late-night phone calls where I tried to sound brave but couldn't hide the worry in my voice. He had seen the stress lines growing deeper on my face. And so, with a kind of courage I didn't know he carried, he offered to give me the money he had been saving for his future. He whispered, "It's yours, Mom. You need it more than I do." For a moment, I couldn't speak. I looked at my son, my child who had once needed me for everything, now turning the tables and offering to carry me instead. My pride told me to say no. My heart told me to hug him and never let go. My mind wrestled with what it meant for a parent to take from their child. Was I teaching him sacrifice, or was I stealing his chance to grow? I told him how proud I was, how deeply his offer touched me, but I also asked him if he truly understood what he was saying. He nodded, tears welling in his eyes, but he didn't back down. "I don't want to watch you struggle anymore," he said. His voice cracked, but his resolve was steady. And in that moment, I realized the kind of man he was becoming, someone willing to give without asking for anything in return. The room felt heavier than ever, but also filled with a kind of light. I remembered every moment of his childhood, from scraped knees to graduation day, and now here he was, ready to stand beside me as an equal. I told him that his offer was the greatest gift a parent could receive, not the money, but the love it represented. Still, I couldn't shake the fear. If I accepted, would I burden him with my struggles? If I refused, would I reject his attempt to step into adulthood with compassion? There was no simple answer. I held his hand, the same hand I had held since he was small, and I told him we would think about it together. He smiled faintly, relief softening his face. I realized then that what he wanted most wasn't just to fix things, but to feel like he could. He wanted to matter in my world, the way I had always mattered in his. And maybe, just maybe, accepting help doesn't always mean weakness. Sometimes, it means trust. That night, after he went to bed, I sat alone in the quiet and let myself cry. Not because I felt defeated, but because I saw the beauty in what he had done. Life doesn't give us perfect answers. It gives us moments like these, where love and pride clash, and we have to decide which one leads the way. The days that followed were full of silent thinking, of stolen glances at my son and the maturity shining in his eyes. I hadn't yet given him an answer, but I had already been changed by his offer. He had given me a reminder that family is not one-sided. We carry each other, sometimes in ways we never imagined. When I finally spoke to him again, I told him the truth. I told him that I wasn't ready to take his savings, but I also promised him that I would let him share in the decisions, let him feel the weight and the relief of being part of the solution. He wasn't just my son anymore. He was my partner in facing the storms of life. And maybe that's what growing up really means. Not just leaving home, not just building your own future, but standing strong when the people you love need you most. His private offer left me wondering what to do next, But it also left me with no doubt about the kind of person he was becoming. Every parent dreams of raising a child who is kind, thoughtful, and strong. That night, I realized I had already been given that gift. My son's words will echo in me forever, "I don't want to watch you struggle anymore." And I will never forget the way he said them, full of love, full of courage, full of hope. So here I am, sharing this story with you, not because I have all the answers, but because sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that show us who we really are. And if you've ever faced a moment where love and pride collide, you know exactly how heavy and how beautiful it can be. Because at the end of the day, family is not about perfection. It's about standing in the doorway late at night, offering what you can, even when it feels small, even when it feels like too much. It's about the courage to say, "I'm here for you," and the humility to accept it when someone says it back. My son's private offer left me wondering what to do next, but it also reminded me that love, in its purest form, is always enough. And maybe, just maybe, that's the only answer we need.